Yes, I absolutely have a connection to my locks. They have been on a journey with me, like from 2013 until now, and I've it's been a roller coaster. So I feel like certain years represent what phase I was in my life. Like I could look at a picture of my locks, maybe 2016, and I can remember what I was going through. So yeah, that's my connection. Like every phase represents a journey or a chapter in my life.
So when I be standing in the mirror, I be looking at my hair to see in the length, and I swear in periods of my life, since I've had these locks, it's probably been the most like rigorous stages of my life, in my development, and just in my testing, who I am and my character. And just yeah, really answering that question of who are you with yourself. So, and this hadn't been through it all, and it's been like a significant ass part of the journey.
I've had my hair for 12 years, and so a lot of things have changed in 12 years. Like, even with my hair, it's changed so much in 12 years to start out like this long and then be to here. Like, it's just crazy growth. And I feel like my hair has always been kind of symbolic of how I was like maturing and growing as a person, even through everything. Like, only thing or only person that stuck around was my hair. It's just like, even when I was going through stuff and I was just on my own trying to figure it out, like, my hair has been with me through all that. So my hair has seen so many different phases and cycles of like my life, my growth, my development, my career, friends, relationships. Like, it's been here through all of it, you know what I'm saying? And it's kind of like the rings on a tree, you know what I'm saying? And they tell a story and they tell the age. And like, I don't know, maybe when I had been having my locks for like 3 years, I dyed the tips of them red. So for like a really long time, there was just like a red patch in the middle of them, like kind of faded orange. And like the ones that split off is like, you know, and I grew to know them. I grew to be familiar with them. And it's definitely a really special connection when you have hair that just sustains with you for that long.
I feel like locks for me was like the first time I ever really felt like empowered with my hair.
Yeah.
Because when I was younger, like I always had like a different type of hair texture, and like my mama didn't know what to do with it, so I never had like I always got perms.
Same.
And then like when I wanted to have my natural hair, I couldn't really wear it for real because I didn't know how. And then it was like getting bullied for that because it's like you don't know how to style your hair, or it's not coming out right, or it's just like feeling like you see everybody else and they get to be easy with their hair. Like they get to just throw it up or just comb it out or do something simple.
Ooh, I hated them bitches that could wear wash.
Right, and it's like you have to
could never
do
get
so
that wash
much.
and go right,
You have
man.
to go through so much, like the tears, the pain, the like overwhelming
arm ache.
anxiety. Yes, just to have your hair and it to feel beautiful. So like I never felt that for a very long time, and then like once I became older and I got locks, it was like wow, like now my hair finally feels my own. Like now I feel connected to it in a sense of like any style when I just get up and go or whatever else, it feels natural to me. And before I didn't feel that way. It just felt like a burden more than anything. And so now my hair feels like it's mine. Like it feels like it's actually like a crown. Like the people try to say like you're supposed to protect your crown and all of this shit. That's what I feel now.
Like right now, my hair looks free. I haven't had my hair done, what, about 2-3 months? And I just, that's how I feel right now. I just feel free, you know? So I probably get up and maybe slick down my edges a little bit, do little baby hairs, but this is how I'm feeling.
Kind of paying attention to pop culture growing up, like around that time, you were kind of seeing a lot of the guys in music with them. So I think like, I don't know, around the time I started, like 2 Chainz, Wayne, I think Future still had some little bitty like dreads back then, but it just, and just on other movies and women that I would see out in the streets, and which was mind blowing because for a long time I didn't think locks were a thing that women did, but seeing more people, I was just like, oh yeah, this is probably cool.
When I was a kid, I did not see many people with locks. I think the only person I saw with locks was a close family friend, and I remember thinking that her hair was ugly. Just being honest, you know, I felt like that wasn't appropriate for a woman. I felt like she looked masculine, and I remember telling myself, I would never do that to my hair. Like, I never want to look like that. So, yeah, that was probably the only person I knew of with locks.
Now and today, from childhood to adulthood, you see more people, well, from my personal perspective, from childhood to adulthood, you see more people nowadays that are more into the locks, whether it's the Rasta, whether it's the actual free form, whether it's actually their own desire to start their own personal journey with it. And I kind of had a similar situation to her before, where I didn't necessarily think that they were ugly, but I was like wondering, like, you know, kids, they tend to question a lot. So you're like, you know, what's going on with that person's hair? And so I had a situation where my mom actually has a friend. He had dreadlocks, and as a kid, he was one of the very few people who I felt understood me. And so as he got to know more about me as a child, because he's actually a psychologist, I started to become more interested in him. And then one day I asked him, I said, well, what are you doing with your hair? I was like, how did you get that like that? And so, you know, being a little girl, you think, are those braids, some type of braids? And so he explained it to me, and still to this day we have that connection that way, where we are free flowing with our conversation. And his hair and his journey, like how she similarly said, he said that, you know, every now and then when we talk, he still says, well, one thing that I can say, I've always taken my hair with me. So my hair is still here. He's like, as long as I got hair, I got breath. And that's like a courage thing for him. So at one point of time, I had dreadlocks as well. And I can definitely say that when you lock your hair, it's definitely a connection. I took time to actually get to know what that journey was about and the history behind it, as well as ask other people who had dreadlocks just to kind of see, you know, what were they thinking? Did they feel any different? And I can say multiple people have said that they feel like their hair is their power. They feel like it brings a story. They also have said, or I've also picked up from other people as well, that, you know, their hair is also just a major part of keeping them through this life. So yeah.
And let me just say, the same lady I was referring to, that, you know, I feel like her locks were unattractive or inappropriate, she comes here now and get her hair maintained. And I look at her now like, man, it took so much courage for you to have locks at a time when they were extremely unpopular to now, you know. So now I'm inspired by her. And somebody told me it takes a confident person to wear their hair in this rawest form.
Oh my God,
Love who I am in the skin that I'm in. Love who I am in the skin that I'm in. I say it's a fine line between what's real and pretend, but these are the things that matter in the end. Oh, so proud to be black on both sides. Most definitely finna had to use your ride. My mama got the whip and ain't gonna be back no time soon, but we can make it to the show in no time, especially if we leave this second, cause time ain't shit but a measure in the question. Notice how it keeps us guessing, no telling where we're headed. Love who I am in the skin that I'm in.
To have a positive self-image, I look like who I want to look like, and I think that's cool, and I think that means something to me, and I think that the root root of that is an expression, you know, and like I love music, and like that's probably what people know me for the most, you know what I'm saying? But there's really just one facet of me, you know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, just the ability to, and it's almost like something really do, like an energy be flowing through you. I don't know, it's something, because when I perform, I can tell you the most is when I'm doing it, like when I'm in the act of using that particular talent, and it's like how my hair is important. I don't like my hair to be up if I'm finna really go in, you know what I'm saying? You probably didn't see me, like I have my hair up, I'm finna get ready to really go, I'm finna take the glasses off and take my hair down, you know what I'm saying? Cause I'm finna literally get loose, like I'm finna get free. And it's just something about the movement and everything about it, it's all energy, and it all be working together, and it should be like supercharging you, like it be pushing you and propelling, I don't know, it just feel good.
Jerry, I see you, what up?
I had a dream that I kid you not, I had some freeform locks. This is the second time I had locks, they was freeforms. And I ended up cutting them off, you know, and I just kept having like coincidences. Me and my partner was riding one time, and he just looked at me and like, bro, you need to grow your hair back out. I was like, nah, bro. He was like, I'm telling you, grow your hair back out. By the time your music pop off, your hair gonna be long. Watch. I was like, I ain't really trying to grow back. And then I had the dream. When I had the dream was just so crazy, man, because like the vividness of it. So I had the dream. I didn't understand the dream. When I was looking in the dream, though, I just was standing in the mirror and the hair just was growing. Like just coming, like it was. I seen the stages, like, and it just grew long. And I was like, whoa, man. So when I be standing in the mirror, I be looking at my hair to see in the length, and I saw it in periods of my life. Since I've had these locks, it's probably been the most like rigorous stages of my life, in my development, and just in my testing who I am and my character. And just, yeah, really answering that question of who are you with yourself.
I think my inspiration mostly just came from seeing them on people. I feel like pop culture introduced me to the visual of that, but once I became aware of locks, then I just thought that they were different and really beautiful. Like around the time I got my locks was when locks kind of first started becoming really, really popular, maybe like a couple years before, but it just was really free looking. Like, you know what I'm saying? It kind of almost, then it was still kind of taboo, but it almost was like a really rebellious thing to do to get locks. And for me, that kind of resonated because I was at the age where I was trying to tap in more with my identity and who I wanted to be, what I wanted to look like. And the next step for me at that point was to do something about my hair. And I was just like, I'm definitely getting locks. Having locks has impacted my life in a lot of different ways, honestly. And actually, the ways that it's impacted my life has changed over the years. Like, I've had my locks for 12 years. And towards the beginning, when it wasn't so popular and my hair was a lot shorter, I think it impacted my life in terms of giving people to assume about me, like when they first saw me without ever meeting me, especially in terms of like gender and sexuality and those kinds of things. People also thought that maybe I was trying to be rebellious, just like, oh, she chopped off her hair, started some dreads, she must want to be trouble or something like that. But as time went on and more people had them and they became embraced more, like the whole natural hair movement, it kind of put you in a spot where like you see people, especially if they got locks, you got locks, I got locks, it's kind of like that secret, like, yeah, like you own something, like, and it just kind of, I guess, made me have a perspective or made me have the appearance as to being culturally connected, in tune, a cultural pride, you know what I'm saying, of my hair, of my heritage, of my ancestors, and stuff like that. So there's been a lot of ways, but I think those two have kind of stuck out the most because they're completely opposite ends of the spectrum from when I first started 12 years ago to like the last 3, 4, 5 years.
It's self-awareness.
Yeah.
It's definitely self-awareness because, like I said, you got to have a lot of confidence to be able to walk around in this raw form. I remember my uncle asking me one time, my hair is probably about shoulder length, and he was like, "What are you doing with those?" He said, "You can't even shampoo them. How do you keep them clean?" And I was like, "Dang, he's really ignorant. Like, I probably shampoo my hair more than you, you know?" But now I feel like that they are becoming or have become more popular, more mainstream. There's a lot of education out there now. People can go literally to YouTube or Instagram and, you know, find out information they need and not be ignorant to what's going on. So they'll feel more confident about starting their journey or whatever it is they want to do with their natural hair. So I moved to New Orleans back in 2012. And I remember I went out there with a bag of clothes and $600. That's all I had. And when that money started to run low, I was like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna make money? I was in survival mode. So I started looking on Craigslist and looking online to see if there were any available salons that would allow me to come in and work. Because I knew if I couldn't do anything else, I can braid for sure. So I went and looked up different braid shops. I found a natural hair studio on one of the oldest blocks in New Orleans, which is known as Bayou Road. And the vibe, you know, just getting to the salon itself the vibe was beautiful. The road had like a bunch of different black businesses on it. So I knew, I was like, this is where I belong. So when I got in there, I talked to the owner of the salon. She had me come in the next day and she put me on locks. Like the next day. It was my first time ever doing them. Oh my God, I was so terrified. I was so terrified that my hand was shaking. So the lady who was allowing me to do her hair, she recognized that and she grabbed my hand and she was like, calm down. She said, you got this. I'm not even asking you to give me no clean parts. She said, just grab it and twist it. So I did. It took me about 3 hours, but I got her hair done and she was in love with it.
If there's anybody who wants to start locks, advice I would give you: 1, go to somebody who knows what they're doing. Like, although a lot of people assume locks are low maintenance, but at the beginning phases, it's setting the whole tone for what your journey will be like in terms of the look, the size, the manageability. So once you get them started, unless you want to keep taking them down and redoing them and jumping from chair to chair, like, find somebody that you trust to do your hair well as somebody that you trust to even be in your head. Like, hair is a really spiritual tool, and I feel like because of that, locks as an extension is a really spiritual hairstyle. And so the person that you trust with your hair, whether it's you, family member, partner, or, you know, somebody who does this professionally, like, you gotta have a good relationship with them. And also, I would say, have fun, like, enjoy it. It's probably one of the most freeing things I ever did, like one of the best decisions I made. I think up until recent years, maybe 5-6 years ago, I still think that having locks was a really taboo thing in America as well as in our own Black community. I feel like people thought that it was a messy hairstyle. People would say things like, oh, it's dirty, do it stink? And I feel like those are all misconceptions that people bought into just because of how white supremacy shows up in our culture. And once the natural hair movement started, which included locks and all the other crazy, beautiful hairstyles that our hair can just naturally do, I feel like that was one of the best things that happened for Black people, especially for our self-esteem and our confidence, just walking out knowing that we could be ourselves and not have to push our hair or our natural features to be a certain way just because somebody said, well, this is the best way and that other way is messy. And I think even as we're coming down the pipeline, there's still work being done, even like the Crown Act saying that workplaces can't say, oh, your hair is unprofessional, you can't have your hair like this or you can't have your hair like that, which a few years ago I was working like at a corporate business, and the year that I started working there was the first year that they were even hiring men who had locks. They were allowing women to have locks, but that year, which was like 2016, that was the first year that they would hire men who had locks. And I mean, if you think about the timing on that, it's really kind of absurd, but now there's legislature to support us being able to do what we want with our hair, which I don't know why we have to have legislature for that. If you say it out loud, it sounds stupid, but I'm really glad that a new day is coming and people can really be who they are made to be.